5 artifacts that represent pivotal moments in Wab Kinew's life by Jynnelle Janzen. The war bonnet for the Ojibways, as with many other Canadian Indigenous tribes, the war bonnet is a deeply significant part of their cultural heritage. The war bonnet is an eagle-feathered headdress traditionally worn by men during ceremonies such as sun dances. It represents accomplishments within the tribe, a visual testament to one's contributions and growth. Often, the war bonnet is passed down through generations, carrying with it the spiritual and achievements of its previous wearers. For me, the story of the war bonnet resonates deeply, especially when I think of its beautiful symbolism in the life of Wab Kinew. Wab is often seen wearing his beautifully crafted war bonnet during the Sundance ceremonies. His headdress once belonged to his grandfather, then to his father, and now it rests on his shoulders. To Wab, the war bonnet is more than a piece of ceremonial regalia. It is a bridge to his ancestors, embodying achievements, honor, and profound spiritual connection to his father and grandfather, Nindete. The generational connection speaks to me on many levels. In my own life, I've come to understand how traditions and heirlooms, whether cultural, spiritual, or familiar, carry stories of strength and resilience. I'm reminded of this every time I wear the antique gold ring with a blue sapphire stone that is passed down through my family for generations. It started with my great-grandmother, who then passed it to my grandmother, and then to my own mother, and now to me. This ring is more than a beautiful piece of jewelry. It's a symbol of continuity and the bonds that tie us together through time. Like Wab's war bonnet, this ring embodies the achievements of family connections, love, and the spirit of the woman who came before me. It reminds me of their strength, their journey, and their stories, which now shape my own. Both the war bonnet and my family ring serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of honoring our heritage and carrying forward the legacy entrusted to us. Sage smudging. Wab Kinew and his family often practice sage smudging as a sacred cleansing ritual. This involves burning sage, along with other sacred herbs such as cedar and sweetgrass. For the Ojibwe, the smudging process purifies objects, the energy of people, and even household spaces. It's more than just a cleansing, though. It's a way to connect the spirit world and show deep respect to Earth's mother. During larger gatherings, the pipe and smudge bowl are passed around the tribe circle, uniting people from different clans and communities. This practice is inclusive. Anyone within the community can participate, honoring shared connection and respect. In some circles, the pipe is reserved solely for tobacco, maintaining the ceremony's integrity. In smaller smudge ceremonies, however, the act of uniting the bowl and the stem in the pipe symbolizes strength and unity, reflecting how individuals are actually stronger together. In a similar way, I use rituals such as burning incense or diffusing essential oils to uplift my mood, reduce stress, and make my home have a calming presence to it. The scents of sage, cedar, and sweetgrass in smudging carry not only cleansing properties, but also emotional and spiritual significance, much like the calming or invigorating aromas of essential oils. Both practices tap into the power of natural elements to create a sense of balance, renewal, and connection to something greater. Back piercing. In a ritual called piercing, Wab writes how wooden pegs are inserted into cuts in his back and attached to weights, often buffalo skulls, which are dragged until the pegs burst from the skin. For some men, the piercing is made deeper than normal to intensify the pain, helping them to enter a trance during a Sundance ceremony. This pain is a way to honor their ancestors, reflecting on the war wounds and sacrifices those before them endured. The Sundance ceremony was held in secret, due to being banned in Canada for decades, and has become a deeply respected and openly practiced tradition today within the Indigenous communities in Canada. During the ban, scouts stood guard to protect the sacred ritual. Wab and his family have shared teachings of this Sundance, helping to restore and celebrate its sacred role in the Indigenous culture. It has become an openly respected movement in the Canadian Indigenous communities. This ritual resonates with me when I think about the symbolism and endurance of the modern tattooing. Much like the back piercing, tattoos involve physical pain that creates something meaningful and lasting. For me, My tattoo of a cherry blossom tree with a cross in the middle is a powerful representation of growth and beauty forming through violence and pain. With the cross symbolizing my faith, each tattoo I have represents a story, a moment, or a connection to something deeper, whether it be my family, my personal growth, or a tribute to what has shaped me. Sweat Lodge. Small round houses. This sweat lodge is where Wab Kinew first heard the phrase from the traveling song, "I am the reason you walk," which later inspired the name in his memoir, and his journey through life, past and present with his father and family. In his memoir, Wab describes the sweat lodge as a small, simple structure about 12 feet in diameter, a dome-shaped hut made from materials found in nature. Sweat lodge ceremonies, often mentioned in his book, hold profound importance in Wab's personal story. His family and other tribes would invite him to participate in the sacred ceremony performed within the lodge. Inside, the elders would share language, song, and traditions, passing them on to the next generation. The ceremony involves prayer, sitting silently, humming, singing, and speaking traditional languages, with the intention of purifying body, mind, and soul. This tradition resonates with me when I think about my own use of saunas and steam rooms. While not as sacred or culturally significant as a sweat lodge, these spaces provide me with personal time of reflection and renewal. Much like a sweat lodge ceremony, sitting in a sauna or a steam room helps me feel grounded and cleansed, as the heat encourages my physical detoxification and mental clarity. Although these practices are different, the experience of being in an enclosed space to let go of stress and focus inward feels similar in many ways. For me, the saunas and the steam rooms create a sense of connection to my inner self, just as the sweat lodge connects participants to their spiritual roots, traditions, and communities. Wab's descriptions remind me of how meaningful these spaces can be, not just for physical purification, but for creating a moment of stillness and reflection, something I also seek in my everyday life. Hand drums. Wab Kinew prided himself on his artistic abilities to perform music. Starting his career as a musician in 1993, he often used his beautifully handcrafted Ojibwe drum throughout his life's journey. The drum holds a deep significance for Wab and other indigenous peoples. It not only spreads the joy of music, but is also used to tell important spiritual journeys and stories. Often passed down from elders, it plays a central role in rituals, Sundance ceremonies, and Wab's personal reflections. Music is a profound part of Wab's identity. He was a successful musician, artist, and continues to practice the hand drum in his free time, even naming one of his most popular songs after this artifact, Wab Kinew, Live by the Drum. This resonates with me because music is also an important part of my life. My husband gave me a ukulele for our first Christmas together. It has become a meaningful connection to both him and my personal creativity. I've taught myself to play a few songs, and each time I pick it up, I feel a sense of joy and accomplishment. Like the drum for Wab, my ukulele is more than just an instrument. It's a reminder of love, growth, and the stories I can express through music. Whether it's in a steady rhythm of the drum or the strumming of strings, music has a way of connecting us to deeper parts of ourselves and our journeys. Thank you for reading, and thanks for listening.